All right, so today we're going to deconstruct something pretty fascinating. We've got a list of football predictions from a tipster for one single Sunday. These are the folks who analyze games and then sell their picks. But the big question is this just a random bunch of guesses, or is there a real hidden method to it all? That's what we're there to find out. So when you first look at this, what do you see? It just seems like a long, kind of random list of bets, right? But what if there's more going on under the surface? We're going to treat this list like a puzzle, dig into the data, and see if we can actually piece together the blueprint, the strategy that connects all these different picks. Okay, so let's start with the basics, the raw data. We're looking at a list of 18 separate predictions for games happening all across Europe. And as you're about to see, they all share one very, very specific theme, and that's our first major clue. Yep, that's it. Every single prediction from Spain to Scotland is for the over goals market. This isn't about picking a winner or a loser, it's about predicting an exciting, high-scoring game. And that tells us a lot about this analyst's entire mindset. Now, this focus on over goals is the absolute foundation of this entire list. So before we go any deeper into the analysis, let's just do a quick breakdown of what that actually means, just so we're all on the same page. So this is what's called over-under betting, and it's actually really simple. Instead of betting on who's going to win, you're betting on a quantity. In this case, will the total number of goals scored by both teams be higher or lower than a number the bookmaker sets? Let's use the most common example from our list here, over 2.5 goals. Now that half goal, that 0.5, is there so there can't be a tie. If you bet on this, you win if the game ends with 3 or more total goals. So a 2-1, a 3-1, even a 2-2, you're a winner. But you lose if the total is 2 goals or less, like a 1-1 draw or a boring 1-0 win. Simple as that. Okay, now that we've got that concept down, let's really dive into the numbers. Our investigation starts by just counting and sorting these 18 predictions to see what patterns jump out at us right away. So the total count is 18 tips for a single day's worth of games. That's a pretty decent sample size. It's big enough that if there's a real pattern in there, we should be able to spot it. And this is where it starts to get really interesting. When we break it down, you can see a few different goal lines being used. But just look at that huge slice of the pie. 10 of the 18 picks, that's more than half, are for over 2.5 goals. The others, like over 1.5 or over 2, are barely used in comparison. And this is our first key insight. This focus on over 2.5 is a huge clue. Our predictor isn't just looking for any game with a lot of action. They have a very strong bias for this specific threshold. They're clearly targeting games where they believe 3 or more goals is a very, very likely outcome. So we know the what, a heavy focus on over 2.5 goals. The next question is where? Where in the world are all these high-scoring games supposed to be happening? Well, once we start organizing the tips by country, our next big clue just pops right out. And bam, there it is. A hotspot immediately emerges. The single biggest cluster of tips, by a pretty wide margin, all comes from one country, the Netherlands. Check this out. The tipster has targeted 5 separate matches just in the Dutch top league. That's more than a quarter of all their picks for the day focused on a single league. Now, that is not a coincidence. That is a clear signal that this person believes the Dutch league is just fertile ground for goals. So where do we go next? The second biggest cluster of picks takes us to the Swiss Super League. And this is where the pattern gets even clearer. See? Here we go again. Every single one of the picks from the Swiss League uses the predictor's favorite bet over 2.5 goals. This just reinforces that idea of targeting specific environments where they expect a very specific kind of outcome. After those 2 hotspots, the rest of the tips are spread out a bit more. We've got a couple of picks in Spain, a couple in Scotland, and 2 in France, and then some single picks in places like England, Germany, and Turkey. This shows us a strategy of having a core focus, but also spreading things out a little to diversify across other major leagues. So we've broken down the numbers, and we've looked at the geography. Let's put it all together now. What is the hidden pattern? What's the repeatable strategy that's actually going on here? It's like we've been peeling back the layers of an onion. We started with what looked like a random list of bets, but now we can see this clear 4-step strategy. Step 1, identify entire leagues known for high scores. Step 2, zero in on specific hotspots, like the Netherlands. Step 3, lean heavily on your favorite bet type, in this case, over 2.5 goals. And finally, step 4, sprinkle in a few other picks to diversify. And here's the crucial takeaway, the heart of it all. This isn't about having a crystal ball. It isn't some magic ability to predict a single game. It's a system. It's an approach based on identifying leagues that are just statistically more likely to produce goals and then focusing your attention there. It's not about predicting the future. It's about playing the percentages based on the past. And all of this leaves us with one final big question to chew on. When we see any kind of prediction, whether it's in sports or anything else, how much of it is a unique skill for seeing what's to come, and how much is just a really clever, disciplined strategy for playing the statistical odds?